Welcome to Ellie Goldsmith's Relationship Flow. We are very excited to return after a wonderful Passover Pesach break with the family. It was an awesome time, more than a week, and we are now excited, thank God, to be back at the office doing our first podcast recording of this new season. We will continue with the intimacy series, being that is something which everybody nowadays needs a bit more inspiration and flow. How to be more intimate, how to connect in a real way to their soul partner, their soulmate. And that's something which I know myself, it's something that it really makes a difference to a person's holiness, feeling, self-esteem and well-being. And honestly, it also has a big impact on health, intimacy, because being able to be intimate correctly gives a person the full energy and focus they need to go about their day, go about the relationships. It can impact the other person very much. It will impact the other person in the relationship. It will impact the family. It will impact everything a person's doing. In the Torah tradition, we know that intimacy is connected to the midah of Yesod, and right now that we are counting during the Sefira, this is the time during from Pesach to Shavuos from Passover to the giving of the Torah, which is 49 days after the night of Seder night. We count our way up to receive our Torah, our truth, our universal truth, our world truth, our 10 commandments. On a yearly level, this goes higher and higher, like a spiral upwards. So as we're counting, there's a revelation of different attributes, divine emanations. The 6th day or the 6th week is connected to the aspect of Yesod. So every week you always connect into this level of foundation, of connection, of bris, kodesh, of being able to touch on that point of intimacy. And it's something which we will discuss more and more as we go through these 7 weeks on a more Kabbalistic, mystical level, about how we can intimately create that feeling of connection, or that reality and emanation of connection in the right way. So we shouldn't, God forbid, have any fallings or failings in our relationship and our intimacy flow, and thereby affect the whole foundation of a person and the whole foundation of creation. That's how fundamental the aspect of Yesod is, and it's something which right now is lacking still in education globally, and the world doesn't really understand it. You can go to some great podcasts who discuss amazing things, like Joe Rogan is a great conversationalist, but when it comes to Yesod, he is I don't want to be rude, but pretty much clueless. He thinks that you can go ahead and do what you want, like it's like the more the better, like masturbation, all this kind of stuff. This is not anything to do with your sort of foundation. It's actually the opposite. The more self-control, as Stephen Covey once wrote in his 7 Habits, the more self-control, the more happiness. That's the key to happiness. The more you contain your energy and your seed and your potential, your power to connect intimately in the right way, in the right time, with only in that specific focus, that can bring out the most energized way of life. So he's got a lot of other things down, like his lifestyle, the health and fitness, but the understanding of Yesod, maybe for the non-Jewish world, maybe it's something which, it doesn't have as impactful. But I would say, if someone would ask me generally, like globally and universally, what does the world do with this area? I believe that more self-controlled by all humanity, not just the Jewish people, it will create much more satisfaction, much more powerful, intimate experiences. I mean, just logically, just think about all that energy that you're storing up. And instead of this whole concept of people say about sexually frustrated and all this tension, which I do, I'm not going to deny there isn't some sort of tension or struggle that takes place being going through that self-control, but the satisfaction, the deeper self-esteem that's created by being in control of your human urges and knowing when to use them correctly is a different level. And I would say the same for women as well, because in the end a woman is receiving that download, that energy of creative force, and she has her creative force within as well, and manifest that in the correct time, correct way, and not, God forbid, be like a dumping ground for whatever, or just to stimulate that way in the wrong time, or attract energy that's not the right energy, not the right focus, not the right intimacy. So without getting too graphic, the concept of intimacy needs to be discussed, and that's what we're going to do hopefully these next 6 weeks or so as we get to Kabbalas Torah, which is really the ultimate manifestation of intimacy, because that really it was a wedding between the Jewish people and Hashem, and the creator of the world, and that manifests into the whole world, because once the Jewish people are unified with the creator, then we can be all a goyim, then we can be a light unto the nation. And as you can see, there's missing information when we're not. And I would say the same for many people. I mean, there's such good intention podcasts out there, good people out there, and I personally get a lot of inspiration from all these people, and it's just a shame that they not accessing this important foundation to humanity of Yesod. And people assume it's a religious thing, but it's actually just a human truth that we have these organs, and we have to understand what the power of relationship is, and what we can do with our flow going in the right direction, the right time, in the right way, and what the power it brings to our life, how it gives us renewed energy. Something which I always think of, the 8th pasuk, the 8th line of Psalm 19 in Tehillim, in the Psalms, is Torah Hashem Tumimo. It's after the chosen comes out of the bridal chamber and goes out to do his thing. The groom, we'd say in English, goes out on his mission to go do what he has to do in the world after connecting with his color. There's a certain then the Torah is received, Torah Hashem Tumima. Then we can receive this complete Torah that Meshivas Nofesh, that restores the soul. And who doesn't need more restoration of the soul than our generation, 2021, 5781, with such a challenging year that we've had. And the Pesach wasn't just another festival that just passed. For me personally, it was an opportunity to really connect on an intimate way with my wife and my kids, to really focus, to switch off, to disconnect, to reconnect. I checked my times on my phone, and it went from like 7-8 hours, the screen time, to like 1 hour or something, 1 hour and a half. It really was a massive reduction, even though I was still on it during the festival, but it was like massively reduced. And thank God I was able to actually experience quality connection with my family, and still, keep connection on some level, still post. I had the merit to connect with a new friend of ours called Jodeci, and Jodeci Joseph will be in our Amunah class, and when it's our future podcast, you'll be able to hear that next Sunday live, an opportunity to hear someone who's going on his journey, who's inspirational. But that, once again, it was with my wife's blessing. It wasn't like in the past where I'd be more like busy with bookings international, like with Nissim and other people. It was much more like an intimate way of connecting, in terms of hosting at my house, and my son was playing music, and we spoke very positively, and my wife was able to connect on a conversational level to Jodeci, and it was that way of connecting with people. We had guests as well on the beginning, my daughter, newly married, and one of my friends who came for a Yom Tov meal yesterday, and it was like really quality time with people, and that kind of conversation flow. And we still got to see the larger family who lives in Israel at a barbecue, and everything just flowed very well. We went to local places and just to then bring that without the distraction of work or bookings or larger stories. I didn't even go on the Zoom communities, which I've been weekly doing since this whole pandemic started. I didn't even join them. I was just so happy just to be with my family. I didn't really think about it, honestly, and just happy to just be there. And my wife really complimented my presence, and that leads to more intimacy. That's just how it goes. If we create that space in ourselves and turn these phones a bit more down from their effect on us, and screen time is less, and we give more focus, then not only does our quality of relationship go up, but then so does our intimacy. It goes into a different level because we're more present, and the soul partner is more present, and the relationship goes into a new level. And that's the kind of energy we should take with us So one of the important things to realize is that during these 6 weeks, 7 weeks that we're counting, there's a very deep aspect of purification as well of the Sphera. It's a concept like a woman counts towards the day of matrimony, or the day of the mikveh night. She counts 7 days. So the 7 weeks are connected, as it says in the Shulchan Aruch, and the Shabura brings down that there's 7 weeks have a connection to that counting of purification and getting ready for that intimate night between husband and wife after the purification waters of the mikveh. And that creating that space is really important during these 7 weeks to purify our soul, and like we said, work on ourselves, so that when we can come together with our Creator on Shavuos on a more intimate level and have that revelation of truth in our life, to really see what our portion and our connection to truth is. This is the kind of way that these 7 weeks are enabling, and it's an amazing. We already went through the first week. Today is the last day of Chesed, of working on kindness, and obviously throughout the Sphera there's each week we start with kindness, and that's the key, that the whole world was created with kindness, and that's the key with the relationship flow. Right now we're going to be moving more to Gevurah, to awesomeness. We'll talk about that in our Moon as Our Future class tomorrow. We'll post that on our Unity Flow podcast as well as our new announcements of new bookings that we'll be doing. But the important thing, just to end off today, is that remember the foundation is the key. That when we want to do kindness, it has to be done in the right way, in the right time, with the right person, and that it creates that is what the Torah calls it, it's kindness. But it has to be with that foundation of purity and instructions of how the relationship should take place. Just like everyone accepts that to fly a plane or to do anything important, there has to be a certain rule book. Like you say, take Joe Rogan, he's into the UFC. There's rules how to fight, how to do everything. There's a referee. There's a time for everything. So too with intimacy. If it's such a profound power that it can create life, so why shouldn't it have some sort of guidance, some sort of rule system, and time that it's most effective and done in the way? And then obviously the soul then takes over, just like you get into that flow. So that's our blessing. Everyone should be blessed with that beautiful intimacy and that relationship flow. And we'll see you, please God, in another week from now, as we're already going upwards in our count towards this ultimate unification. And I can't wait to be there together with you. In the meanwhile, share your relationship flow and keep in touch. And thanks for following the new blog podcast, Relationship Flow. Very excited to see there's a bunch of people following now, and hopefully we'll be scaling this podcast to even more and more classes on all different topics, and you're welcome to be in touch with me about that. All the best, and only love and blessing.